These photos were taken over 150 years ago. I took the original black and white images, colorized and animated them to bring back to life the stories of children who broke the law. Ellen Woodman, 11 years old, was arrested for stealing iron, she and her accomplices. Mary Hinnigan. Mary Catherine Doherty and Rosanna Watson were convicted for the crime. Ellen was the youngest of those arrested. It's hard to imagine what led these girls to commit such a crime in a world where survival was often a struggle. Their actions could have been driven by desperation and need. Through these revived images, we can remember their stories not as simple criminals, but as children caught in a world that didn't give them the chance to grow up carefree. Charles Evans was whipped and given 3 days hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing a pile of books in January 1873. James Scullion was sentenced to 14 days hard labor at Newcastle City Jail for stealing clothes. After this, he was sent to Market Weighton Reformatory School for 3 years. Rosa Hollidayday was just 12 years old when she was sentenced to 10 days hard labor at Oxford Castle Prison for the crime of false pretenses on February 9, 1871. Henry was convicted of breaking into houses and was sentenced to 2 months in prison in 1873. Michael was an accomplice of Henry Leonard Stevenson, charged with breaking into houses and sentenced to 2 months in prison. Martha Herbert was sentenced to 42 days of hard labor at Oxford Castle Prison for stealing half a shilling and 6p on February 23, 1871. Stephen Monaghan was convicted of stealing money on 25th July 1873 and was sentenced to 10 days hard labor and 3 years in Market Weighton Reformatory. Henry was charged with the theft of clothing and sentenced to 14 days hard labor. Sophia Norrit was ordered to carry out 2 days hard labor at Oxford Castle Prison for stealing wood on May 4, 1872. Alfred Blackwell was sentenced to 3 months of hard labor at Oxford Jail for stealing 6 lb of Australian meat. Seven-year-old Julianne Crumpling was jailed at Oxford Castle Prison for stealing a pram and sentenced to 7 days of hard labor. James Freeman was sentenced to 21 days hard labor for stealing bread with his friend on July 7, 1870. Thomas Savage was given 4 days hard labor and 10 strokes of a birch cane at Wsworth Prison for stealing some iron in December 1872. Jane stole 2 boots and was sentenced to do 10 hard days labor. John Morrell was given 21 days hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing a drinking glass, January 1873. Tammy Puplett was given 3 months hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing 12 shilling and 9 pence half a bottle of gin and 3 shirt studs in January 1873. Robert Hall was sentenced to 14 days of hard labor in Oxford Castle Prison for stealing a leather strap, June 17, 1870. Charles Lovefree was sentenced to 3 months of hard labor at Oxford Jail for stealing a rabbit. William Simmer was given 10-day hard labor at Wisworth Prison for stealing 2 bottles of lemonade in January 1873. Joseph Charman was given 21 days hard labor at Dosworth Prison for stealing a tame fowl in December 1872. John Davis was sentenced to 1 month of hard labor at Oxford Castle Prison for stealing trousers, June 16, 1870. Ellen Hayes stole 2 studs and a waistcoat in May 1873 and had to complete 21 days of hard labor. George Green spent 4 years in the reformatory school for stealing a bag containing bread and butter. Samuel Curry was handed 21 days of hard labor along with his friend George Sucknott for stealing trousers on April 9, 1870. John Webb was given 21 days hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing 4 loaves of bread and a pot of jam in December 1872. Alice Dawson, 13 years old, nicked an umbrella in July 1872. John was sentenced to do 14 days hard labor and 5 years reformation for stealing money in 1873. John Garman was given 21 days hard labor at Dosworth Prison for stealing a blanket, January 1873. John Connor was given 1 month's hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing in January 1873. George Whelan was given 1 month's hard labor at Usworth Prison for stealing 1 pound of beef, December 1872. Samuel Stilley was given 1 month's hard labor at Weesworth Prison for stealing 2 shillings and 6 PO in December 1872. Robert Charlton was a laborer from Newcastle and was imprisoned for 4 months for stealing 2 pairs of boots. Samuel Warner was given 21 days hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing 3 cups in January 1873. Edward was convicted of stealing clothes on 31st March 1873 and served 1 month with hard labor. John were found guilty of assault and theft. He was imprisoned for 6 months. Accomplice of John Duffy, George Lamb, was sentenced to 4 months in prison after stealing money. John Ryan was given 10 days hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing metal pipes worth 5 shillings in December 1872. Charles Summerlee acted together with John. "17-year-old Thomas Carter was made to carry out 21 days of hard labor for stealing bread with a friend, James Freeman, on July 7, 1870. James Donnelly, also known as James Darley, at the age of just 16, this young man had been in and out of prison, but on this occasion he was sentenced for 2 months for stealing some shirts. This is Thomas White. He was just 13 years old when he committed his crime in January of 1873, the offense stealing 10 shillings. James Sherwood was given 10 days hard labor at Dusworth Prison for stealing a whip in January 1873. George Davis was whipped and given 3 days hard labor at Wsworth Prison for stealing a pile of books in January 1873.